title of The Project Builders, Balancing Instant Impact versus Sustainable Identity. As we witness a growth boom designed for global clubs and leagues, the challenge lies in merging speed with longevity. Our experts discuss how to deliver immediate football icons that evolve into sustainable pillars of the community. Please allow me to introduce to the stage our first speakers of the day, Mr. James Bisgrove from Al-Qadsiah FC. Accompanying him will be Raj Athwal from Odisha FC, followed by Magda Pozzo from Udinese FC, and finally Jesus Arroyo from the Saudi Premier League. This session will be moderated by Razan Amoush from The Independent. Thank you.
This is what? Okay. I think.
Let's do it. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you very much for all coming here. In football, we often celebrate the goals that happen in 10 seconds, but we forget the projects that take 10 years. Yet here in Saudi Arabia, we've been witnessing a story where both speeds exist at once, a league that can bring global superstars overnight, while simultaneously building academies, communities, and identities that will define the next generation. This balance between instant impact and sustainable identity is the heartbeat of modern football transformation. Whether you are Al-Qadsiah returning to the top fight, Udinese maintaining one of Europe's most respected scouting models, Odisha FC growing in a rising Asian market, or the SPL redefining what a league can become, every one of you represent a different version of the same question. How do you build for today without losing tomorrow? Welcome everyone to the World Football Summit in Riyadh. I'm Razan, Amoush, and it's an honor to moderate this session with 4 leaders who absolutely live this tension actually every day. Results versus identity, pressure versus long-term philosophy, short wins versus legacy building. Please join me in welcoming Mr. James, CEO of Al-Qadsiah, Raj Athwal, CEO of Odisha FC, Magda Pozzo, Udinese representing one of Europe's most respected multi-club, and Jesus Arroyo, Saudi Pro League executive. Shaping governance, regulation, and the strategic future of the entities that you manage. Let's dive straight into the heart of the football today and start with you, James. You know, with significant new investment and the expectations of instant impact is really massive. How does Al-Qadsiah balance between the pressure to win now with the long-term project of building a sustainable academy and a loyal fan base that isn't just reliant on investment?
Yeah, thank you, and good morning, everyone. Fantastic to be here on such a prestigious panel, and yeah, it's an interesting question, and I think it certainly is a balance. For us at Al-Qadsiah Club, really, we see ourselves as a deeply strategic club. We try to be very efficient in our decision-making. But of course, within the ecosystem of football, there's an expectation, there's a pressure to succeed and to succeed now. And I think we welcome that, we relish it. You can see how we've invested in, whether it's our infrastructure, we've got a new high-performance training center, how we've invested in our squads, and ultimately that's about winning in the shortest time frame possible. You know, we made it to the cup final last year, we didn't quite make it, but we are focused on qualifying for AFC competitions and winning titles as soon as possible. But really, we're balancing that with a strategic approach. And we put in place a long-term strategy with 5 pillars at the club. And within that, we've got our sporting performance. We've got our youth development, which is so important. The development of our youth academy. Our colleagues from our academy are here this morning, right from our under-9s through to the under-21s. We've got 35 young Saudi players that are part of the national team. So we believe heavily in that. Commercial sustainability, generating revenues, the fan engagement, the community engagement, and you know, we've got a new stadium, an exciting new stadium that's coming in around a year's time as well. So For us, it's a balance. We're trying to put the foundations in place for long-term strategic success, but we understand the environment, the competitive environment that we're in, and the desire from fans, the lens in which the media look at the club to win now. So we think we're taking the right steps, but as you say, there are trade-offs, and it's a very interesting environment to be in.
100%, and it's really like a very interesting challenge, I would call it. And like this will take me to you, Raj. Odisha FC is still defining its place in fast-growing football culture. How do you balance the push for quick results with the responsibility to build a long-term football identity and community around the club?
Yeah, the success is subjective. I've worked in British football now for 25 years in Europe, and then 5 years now with Odisha Football Club in India. And the difference was that in Europe, when we were in the Premier League at the time with Coventry, the ownership wanted to build a community base, build a new stadium, and use that to leverage revenue to build the squad. But since I've moved to Odisha Football Club over the last 5 years, it's about instant results. And so you have to manage the pressures. And also at the time, I had to ensure that the ownership understood that you have to have a vision. You have to give them clarity, because if you're losing 1 or 2, 3 games, they wanted to remove the coach. And that's not really feasible, and certainly for long-term sustainability. So over time, it was a startup club. Odisha is a startup club. It was formed 5 years ago, and they asked me to come and we had to put processes in, structures in, from women's football to youth development. And what we've done is we've re-educated the whole ecosystem around that with the ownership. And within 2, 3 years, we built a good team. We don't have the most expensive assembled squad, but what we do have is good people, a good environment, a positive environment, but the key is the processes, the structures, and the right people. Not necessarily the most expensive players, because that's not our affordability, but we had the right people in place, and within 2, 3 years, we found success in winning the Super Cup, qualifying for Asia, and then over and above that, we also managed to bring a women's team along as well, that within 2 years was playing in the Champions League. So it's about building structures and processes and having the right people. And so, yeah, instant results, but you have to manage that.
Raj, you are like, you lived football between two interesting teams, like Premier League versus in Asia now. And we know that there is difference in fans' expectations, particularly, I was just as discussing with you, Raj, like Ten Hag really screwed my team, Manchester United, yet he stayed in the Premier League for 3 years. However, in different regions, maybe Asia and the Arab region, as a Twitter is very strong tool where people express themselves, I don't think Ten Hag will last for 3 years. So tell us about this difference and how could you educate your fans?
In England, I can only give you my experiences of working at the clubs in England. And James has worked at Rangers, so I was there for a few years. So in England, if you're losing games, there is a lot of vitriolic abuse to the senior management team, and you have to deal with that. Rangers was really intense, which I'm sure James will allude to. It was very, very intense. And in Asia, it's different, but you cannot control the fans. What you have to do is frame the environment, and you have to be honest with the supporters, but at the same time protecting the players and the club in general. But it's about being honest, about being transparent. And what we did, and a lot of clubs do this now, is have it's a fans leadership group where different fans and different groups of people can come along. And if you're honest and transparent with them and try to explain the vision with clarity and purpose and what your purpose is, within reason you can deal with it. But it depends on the clubs and it depends on the size and what their expectations are. But you can't control fans. You can only deal with the environment and frame that.
100%. With the evolution of football and all the interesting inventions that are happening, I think Magda has a very interesting definition of sustainability. We usually talk about sustainability from either energy or consistent success. Sorry. I would like to hear from you, Udinese, and I hope I'm saying the name correctly, is ranked the most sustainable club in Italy and fourth globally. What long-term ESG strategy allowed you to move beyond isolated campaigns and truly embed sustainability into the identity of the club?
Yeah, good morning. Can you hear me? Yeah. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for having me. I think, yes, you're right. We often talk about sustainability only, thinking on specific issue, like it could be the, our stadium and our solar park, which is the only one in Italy and one of the few in Europe. But I think the most important thing that it has become a culture of the company, of the group. It's in our DNA. And so everything we do is related to sustainability. And I think this is the first message I want to give. Our club, our family owns the club for 40 years, so it's the longest lasting family ownership in Italy. We have been 30 years in Serie A, so I think also, it comes from an issue of financial sustainability as well, because I think I always say that we can't really speak about sustainability if there is not financial sustainability first. So, yes, and I think Udinese can be a very good example or benchmark for Saudi as well, because yesterday I was listening to different panels here, and last year I was here for the Super Cup, and I've seen a massive change in mentality. So I would say that from an instant impact strategy, I now see a really long-term project with investment in infrastructure, in women football, in academies, in governance, and that's the way, it's exactly what we have been doing in Udinese. I mean, we look into, of course, we all need to look into instant impact strategies because we want to, be successful immediately. But I think we are really based in a long-term strategy, and I think this is why Udinese, we do not have the investment big teams have, of course, but this is why Udinese, I think, we were able to, to have this visibility and to have this global, let's say, global importance in scouting in football, but also in sustainability, because we have, been working in a long-term strategy, and I've been working to support this strategy with day-to-day, actions. So, of course, our biggest project is the solar park with 2,400 panels. And it's gonna, as I said, is the only one in Italy and one of the few in Europe. So we are gonna be completely powered by solar energy during the match day, which is fantastic. But also, this is the most important project, but then we have everyday actions for our fans. So we start from having, waste zone in the stadium, 20 wasting zone, and we educational programs to our supporters. So it's an really everyday strategy to back up a long-term strategy.
Very interesting. Like, I'll quote what you were saying, and it's like an everyday strategy to be sustainable. And we usually see this planning mainly in leagues. And this will take me to you, Jesus. And I would like to, you've seen SPL from both inside and outside with your long-term experience in Europe. What's your perspective on how the league is evolving and what is really trying to build long-term?
Okay, thank you for giving me the floor. First of all, Sabah al-Khair to everybody. For me, it's a pleasure to join this expert panel. After having almost 20 years working in football in Europe, I think, and I would like to start with this sentence, I think that we are in front of real football league in Saudi. And this is something that I would like to highlight, because sometimes in Europe, the feeling is that we have in front of an artificial league, a league that just has been created 2 years ago because of the transformation. And that's not the truth. And even on a familiar environment or a friendly environment, I try to explain that we have a huge number of big clubs, such as Al-Qadsiah. We have historical clubs with almost 100 years of history, and therefore we have an incredible fan base here in Saudi Arabia, football fans that are supporting their clubs and are supporting, of course, the national team. So this is something that I discovered when I arrived, that we have here a real football. Then I had the opportunity to join SPL. So it's an organization that is in a process of a huge transformation with an ambition objective. And at the same time, I think that we know that just walk or run is not enough. We need to sprint, okay? If we want to achieve our goals, it's mandatory for us to sprint in order to be competitive with Serie A or with La Liga or Premier League. So that is there. So the real let's say, desire to sprint in everything that we are doing. But at the same time, we need to keep the control. We need to keep a good governance, a solid pillar, in order to be sure that the acceleration is always under control and on the right direction. And I would like to give you 2 main examples, okay? In the last, I think, 6 months, we developed 2 important regulations in-house, such as the financial regulation and the handbook, which is basically focused on to establish which are the rights and obligations from the clubs, from the different stakeholders surrounding the match. And on top of that, we have created, based on our new strategy, new direction, having the fan in the focus, in the center of our strategy, we have created from the scratch a fan experience department, which is basically the voice of the fans in everything that we are doing. And we are also develop a new department, which is the club office or the club development, which is mainly focusing, try to help our clubs to improve their skills and to be ready for the future. Because basically we understood that there is not a strong league without strong clubs. So this is what I found it here.
Very interesting, Jesus, and I think this vision will take me back to you, James, on a club level. You know, like success is the sustainable model, and you know the identity is built on world-class scouting and the players' development that funds the club. How do clubs resist the instant impact temptation, you know, to keep a star player versus selling high maintain the model?
Yeah, this is obviously a critical...
Your daily challenge,
yeah,
probably.
it is, and I think, you know, credit to our football department, our sporting director for the work they've done in player recruitment and player scouting. I think it's going to be the ultimate barometer for success, the decisions that the club takes in terms of player recruitment, but also player disposals or the right conditions to sell players. The way we've approached it is to have a scouting team that's really fueled, I would say, by technology, by data, by insights, and trusting the process and the people. And I think we've also found in certain moments focusing on our squad plan is the right way to move forward rather than, let's say, names. And you know, we've taken players from all parts of the world, all leagues that we think can come and make an impact in the Saudi Pro League. And I think that's what allowed us to be a newly promoted team last season, to come 4th place in the league. And actually, we sold a player, we're the only club in Saudi Arabia to have sold a player for double their value for a major profit. We took a young Argentinian player from Boca Juniors, Eki Fernandez, the summer transfer window before last, around $17, $18 million, a huge investment. But then in the last summer window, a top Bundesliga club came and they gave us double that investment. So we believe in the ability of our scouting team. We believe in that process. And of course, star names bring a different appeal. If that's from a commercial sense, you know, we have a new stadium next season, so we want to attract more supporters there, but really believing in the process for us being very strategic and data-led is in our DNA.
Very interesting. So Al-Qadsiah is not only like investing and spending money, it's actually bringing money back to the country.
Well, I think
And-
yes, because if you talk about a sustainable business model,
Yes.
then of course clubs, and you look at European benchmarks, if you look at a Premier League club like a Brighton or a Brentford, they have been able to have positive net transfer values in terms of the way that they've gone into player trading. Now, we and the Liga are still a development league, so I think it makes sense to be investing in top players of all different ages, but in the right conditions, we have to be ready to sell players when it makes sense for the club and for the market.
Amazing. With all this development, how do you preserve the local identity of the club?
Well, for us, the community engagement is so important. We talk about being a club that's from Hobart to the world. You know, we're proudly from the Eastern Province. We do so many community programs. This event is perfect timing, actually, because it gives me a chance to promote our Al-Qadsiah festival, taking place this weekend on the waterfront in Hobart, the Corniche. We'll have 2 days of events. We'll have top music acts. We'll have water show, light show. All our players will be there. And that, for us as a club, is about giving back to the community and showing that that engagement matters for us. It's not only about coming on a match day and supporting the team. It's 365 days a year having that community event. And then next month, we'll have our Ramadan season. We had 150,000 people in the club last year for these events. So for us, retaining the identity is about being true to the community. And we as a club, through the work of our media team, our marketing team, we put a lot of investment into this.
Amazing. Staying authentic while evolving is really a challenge everywhere and in every club and in every region. And this will take me to you, Raj. You know, in India, this is particularly interesting given the scale of your market. How developing leagues often feel pressure to sign foreign players quickly. How do you protect the development of Indian talent while still elevating the club with key foreign signing?
The Indian Super League is, and football in general, is in its embryonic stage. It's 15 years old, the Super League. And what we've tried to introduce at Odisha, and there's only 2-3 clubs doing this at the moment, is have a robust grassroots football level for boys and girls from 7-8 years of age, and trying to get them to play football all the way through. And what we've discovered that most of the clubs will buy the domestic players from different clubs rather than use grassroots as a vehicle for 5-10 years to bring the players through. So we've tried to introduce that for the simple reason that it potentially brings down your wage bill. But equally importantly, as a club, we're not the biggest club in India. We're a mid-table club, but we can then sell the players on and make a profit from that. And that's the model that we're trying to adopt. But as I said, Indian Super League is in its embryonic stage. They're still trying to find their feet, but that's where the real key is, and that's what we try to do at the football club. And we brought a European model involved, and it's working. It's taken time, but it will work.
Thank you, Raj. And I think talent development leads naturally to talent discovery. And this will take me to you, Magda, and because, you know, Udinese is a global reference for that. Scouting is becoming more technology-driven every year. How, at your club, you are adapting these recruitment strategy for the next decade while maintaining this identity and authenticity of Udinese?
Yeah, I think, as we said, Udinese is very well known for scouting, and it's one of the fundamental values for us. And so it's really, you know, it's very important to keep in mind that, of course, we want to keep on looking at this area. But at the same time, we think that it's very important that we develop, to support the sport, we have to develop as well what I call non-football as well issues. So to try, as I said, to help as well our partners in the collaboration with us, in the storytelling with us. And so I think it's a really 360 degrees storytelling, no? So I think, and this is what we're trying to do. our partners, when they come in, they try to also be, they try to get involved in the sustainability, they try to get involved in the culture of our scouting, and we try and we share these values with them. And this is another important point I wanted to touch, because most of the things we have been doing in Udinese is thanks as well to especially the storytelling we are sharing with our partners, okay? So we are talking about, for instance, you know, the Macron shirt jersey sponsor. We are the first one to ask 10 years ago to have a shirt made by recycled material, 100% recycled material. So they didn't just did it for us, but they apply it for to 200 other teams. So I think this is the big, the big message a medium team like Udinese can do through a football platform and through their partners.
Fascinating, to be honest, and like the story of Udinese and how it impacts the storytelling of others is actually very, very inspiring. However, none of this works without strong league structure. And this, I'll go back to you, Jesus. You know, the SPL is evolving at incredible speed, really, like, you know, like super, super fast. How do you balance rapid development with the governance and financial discipline needed for long-term sustainability in an environment like Saudi?
Yeah, I think that, as I told you, it's clear, super clear for us that we need to accelerate, but at the same time, we need to establish the solid principle to have a proper governance in place in order to avoid to fail on the direction. So acceleration, yes, but with control. This is crucial for us. So I think that now we are on the situation where we have already launched some specific regulatory framework, and we have the responsibility to onboard the clubs, to hear the clubs, and to be sure that those regulations are accurate to the reality. This is super crucial for us. So I earlier mentioned about the financial regulation, about the handbook, which are a very important tool, but should be accurate to the reality, okay? So we are now on the process, let's say, to having the time to the clubs to digest all of our regulations, but at the same time, we are reviewing the regulation itself with the reality in order to be sure that we are ready for the next stage. And at the same time, we have no time, so we need to deliver a world-class football matches in this season. So I think that one of the pillars that we develop, at least in the competition department, is to try to prepare the matches in a better way. So now we are on a process, which is also in the handbook, an internal process for the clubs to give them the room to ask for activations, for ask for different type of activities surrounding the match, to try to organize the match itself. So I think that our people on the ground, I mean, our match officials, is super crucial to achieve that goal. But again, we are on a journey, different phases, a lot of challenge, a lot of passions as well. And I think that with the help of the clubs, with the help of SAF, and with the help of MOS, I think we are on the right direction.
100%, and I agree with you. I just have one question on that, you know, like, how do you communicate all these amazing efforts that you guys put, you know, to the fans, you know, normal fans who don't understand strategy or policy or, you know, like big headlines? The fans are always worried about the schedule. The fans are always worried about that. So how can you actually communicate in a way that makes them understand the big effort that you guys put?
Well, this is a very good question, okay? So
always.
let me try to elaborate, okay, my answer. No, this is football, and we know how the things work in football. So the clubs, the fans, the media are focused mainly in transfers, potential transfers, matches, results, and competition ranking, basically, table ranking, no? So we understand which is our role. Our role is quite different. Our role is to try to organize, as I said, a world-class football matches in the kingdom, to try to establish the standard in order to thinking not only on the fans that attend the match, also in the clubs, also in the players, and of course on the international audience. So to have a world class is something that we need to deliver now. But as I told you, we have also the responsibility to be the regulator, okay? And we need to think about the medium and long term. So having a good financial regulation is crucial to ensure that the clubs are ready for, as my colleague said, about the future, about the sustainability of the system. And of course, we need to explain better. I mean, I think that we are now in the process where we have something to explain, and we are on an internal process to, let's say, how we can engage on a better way with the media, on a better way with the fans, on a better way even with the clubs. We want to have this communication with the clubs. For us, again, there is not a strong league without strong clubs. And this is something that I would like to use this stage to highlight that idea. We want have, we would like to have very close our clubs to try to help, because all of our departments has the same mandate. We are here for the clubs, and of course for the fans.
100%, because especially that, like, football without fans, it's not football really, At the end, whether it's like there is a lot of policies in ground, there is a lot of strategies. If you lose the fans, if the fans stop supporting your club or like your league, you just lose it.
I think that we saw that during the COVID.
100%.
So it's the same sport, but it's not the same football.
That's the same spirit. As we are coming to our end, like the end of our session, I would like to ask all of you one question. According to you and to your vision, how would you wish to see the sustainability in Al-Qadsiah, for example, in every entity?
Well, I think I can answer that in a number of ways, but I think at the heart of it is the youth development for us. We believe so strongly in that, whether it's men's football, women's football. I know this is the World Football Summit, but we have 15 other sports and Olympic champion programs. So the investment we're making in the academies, whether that's infrastructure, whether that's top coaches or the practitioners that go around our youth teams, from the under-9s to the under-21s, but also I would say our grassroots academies that are spread all over the Eastern Province. That for us will be the core, because we think that's how we'll identify, let's say, the star of the Saudi national team in the 2034 FIFA World Cup. That's going to be one of our dreams, but it's also the engagement with the young fans that will come and support the team. So for us, when we talk about sustainability and community, I would say youth development goes right to the heart of that.
So very interesting. So youth development on different levels, the levels of the fans, but also the level of the players. And also, this is really interesting, particularly in an environment that like Saudi, where Twitter has its say, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, thank you very much. Raj, how would you imagine and would like to see the future?
Future of the Indian Super League? It's going through a transition at the moment. Some of you may know or may not know that it's suspended, but the key to all this is pretty much what James is saying, that the clubs need to adopt good practices. And the future for me is at the moment, certainly in India, is community engagement. So community in India is very much thinking of along the lines of grassroots, but it's actually building relationships with schools, colleges, and ensuring that the players, like they do in Europe, go out and meet different communities across the whole spectrum. And what we found is a lot of the supporters that were coming along were bringing their families, people that were not even interested in football. And that's how we try to engage. And I think that, for India, for me, is the way forward, because cricket is still the #1 sport, but football is growing exponentially now in India. And I feel it's really, if they do it right, they can really make sure the supporter base grows.
Thank you very much. And you, Magda?
For us, I think we want to keep, this long-term sustainability wave, because I think this is very important for us, and it's a little bit, it represents what the club is. And I would say that we want to emphasize in the fan engagement, because compared with the Kingdom, for instance, we have an older fan engagement. So I think it was, it was amazing for me to see how here you have the biggest, youngest audience, and very passionate one. So I think what we want to do in our case in Udinese is to try to get more to this youngest generation. And I think also going back to the actions, as you said before, it's not about, the fans, they're not going to read documents on how well you're doing. So I think a constant message, educational message, kids, community events, and so, and keeping on doing what we are doing in Italy, that we are the only multi-venue stadium. So we keep the stadium open 365 days per year, with concerts, with community events, with other sports. They play, we play rugby as well in our stadium. So I think we want to keep on being innovative, and we need to do that as a medium-size club. I think this is the way the Udinese can achieve the great results, and globally the global audience we want to have. And also expanding as well in our, of course, academies, and to make our brand more and more international. So our next step, we would really like to explore the Middle East market to expand with our academy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you, Jesus?
Well, future, three main ideas. Governance, to protect the right direction on this acceleration that we are now, because I don't think that the governance is against the speed. So the governance is to protect the right direction in the way of this speed. This is number one. Number two, funds. This is priority number one for all football. You mentioned that without funds we have not a real football.
Yeah.
And this is what we have in the country. So we need to find a way in some specific areas, in some specific regions, to click with the fans, to engage to the real passion football of Saudi Pro League. And the third one is clubs. So we need to help the clubs, and we need to be close to the clubs. This is, in my opinion, how I would like to see the future, but the future in football is now.
Tomorrow.
Or
yesterday.
maybe yesterday, yeah. So those are the three key aspects that I would like to highlight.
Thank you very much. This discussion shows that whether you are in Europe, India, Saudi Arabia, there is one truth is constant. Football is not only about winning today, it's about building something that lasts. It's, not just like what we see on Twitter. It's a lot of boring work, a lot of uninteresting work that happens behind the scenes for a very, very, very long time. So this is actually football, and this is how we build a sustainable project, a sustainable economy, a sustainable entertainment. Thank you very much. In Arabic, we say la yumal. We could speak about this till the end of the summit. Thank you very much. I hope you could speak about your entities, and I hope you guys enjoyed the session. Thank you for coming today, and enjoy the rest of the summit.
Thank you.